Does it seem like I really enjoy contradicting myself? Well, it kind of feels like to me. Since in the previous video I talked about minimalism and keeping things clear and simple, and now it will look like I'm going against my own statements. Another exam project I had at my first year of bachelor, and once again we are going back and forth between my bachelor degree and my master's degree now, was to analyze an immersive experience, one that uses VR, AR, or XR. And that was my first time discovering such an amazing team as TeamLab. The reasons why one could fall completely in love with their installations are infinite. And I guess they are also very subjective. For some people, it's just the magic of being in this completely new environment. And others might perceive more the feeling of nature and this sensation of realizing the impact you leave on everything you touch. Several of their projects are not just projections. By touching a projected image, you can actually apply changes to it. For example, to the growth of flowers or to the intensity of light. Something that really makes you think about your presence in the moment and maybe not only in the precise moment, but in general, your presence on this planet and your impact on this planet. It's feelings through light and nature. And this is the kind of installation which, in my opinion, could be perfect in any museum. And here we are going back to the contradiction. You might say, but some of the works are so bright and colorful, and they might distract from everything else in a museum. And I will say, yes, you're right. But it also depends on which kind of patterns you are using and how you are using them. Here we're going back to my beloved neuropsychology. Take a look at this pattern. It's obviously a very famous one by William Morris. It seems like it's very rich and it's intense. But actually, by looking at it, your brain is not getting that tired. And you probably can guess why. Not only because it's natural, so it's unconsciously calming, but also because being a pattern, it is repetitive. You see one piece and you know all the rest. So your very smart brain stops concentrating on very small details and sees all of it as just a continuity. And if this pattern is projected on the walls in the room you are, it's not bothering you that much. It even creates a sense of peace and calm. Of course, our brains love predictable things. They feel safe. And sometimes patterns feel even safer than just white space. While white, empty spaces might create an emphasis on some art pieces in a museum, they also feel sterile. And the art pieces feel very distant. And I personally feel like it's a very big problem, especially in history museums. You know, those museums which almost nobody likes, despite maybe Ross from France. Which, by the way, is absolutely normal because, of course, if you don't really understand the historical value of a rock, it will be just a rock for you. Especially if it just lies there in an empty white room. And sometimes it's almost the same for very ancient statues. A person who has studied at least a little bit of art history realizes that they were unbelievably difficult to create and also realizes all the story which lies behind the figure. But if you're not so familiar with mythology or, well, military history, it's normal you're not that interested, and if there is some kind of explanatory piece behind the statue, you won't read it. And in so many museums, at least in Italy, the positioning of the informations about statues is incredibly illogical. It's always somewhere far away from the statue itself, and in case of crowds, which is now extremely unlikely, it's also difficult to get there to read. Eventually, you won't stand there for more than 15 seconds. Also, because logically, you're not going back and forwards between the statue and the description to read about every single detail. Remember, economy of attention spans, always same problem. But obviously, I'm a designer and I know that you can't put a lot of text everywhere. You will be overwhelming the room, creating even more visual noise, and it will be difficult to understand at least something. And from my first video, you already know I hate QRs. Once you have your phone in your hands, you are lost, okay? You are completely lost. And that's when I say, let's try with projections. Very simple projections are not that expensive anymore. Having one projector that works on all the room would be enough. You would still have the space and air that a statue needs to kind of breathe. But additionally, you would have pieces of a story projected and told by light. Or maybe try to tell the story of a statue by nature. Very often, statues are positioned just in front of a white wall. And if the lighting is not perfect, when you enter the room, the statues just blend in. But let's take, for example, this statue of Bacchus, positioned in the Altemps Museum, one of the museums I got lost in, and with some AI magic, voila! Here the pattern is not so bland. It is naturally different, but it's just emphasizing the beauty of the statue, not taking attention away. But just in case it could take attention away, it would be better to use plants related to the story of a god. And in ancient Greek or Roman mythology, we are lucky to have gods that created plants or were related to every kind of plants. In Bacchus's cases, it's of course grapes and ives, but also much more. And it's the same for the rocks I mentioned before. Imagine being able to perceive, through the light around you, the change of nature throughout the years around an ancient temple. All of it to make you arrive to now, to this moment you are standing in front of this apparently simple, meaningless rock. This is when history starts to have a weight on you, an impact on you. I've been already talking about it in my first video and I will repeat it again. This feeling of universal meaning, of cosmic connection. It should be one of the things for which people should come to a museum. In all the museums I've been in Italy, I swear, never ever inside a museum I've seen a single plant. Why? Seriously, why are you excluding the museum from the surrounding environment? If you go out, yes, some museums have a garden, but a garden outside is not the same. We have to remember where are we coming from. Then even in the most digitalized time, we are children of nature. Romans or ancient Greeks didn't live just in stones. Our path through life doesn't have to go through stones and sterile white ambience. This is where I want to get inspiration by TeamLab, creating a path of light and nature for a museum. It, once again, doesn't have to be something incredible and outstanding. All projections don't have to be interactive. They can be images or videos, and it would minimize the cost immensely. No technology, no projections. Okay, let's just put plants in museums. Let's remember about nature again. It is still in our lives, but we are ignoring it. Just tell me why. Because it may be just me, but in my opinion, it has absolutely no sense. From the biological standpoint, too, we are designed to work better in a natural environment. All of our senses, our psyche, are designed for it. There are several studies which show that fresh air gives your brain the necessary kick. You will definitely work better after a few hours of a stroll in nature. You will remember information better, you will process it better. I really challenge you to find at least one scientific article that will demonstrate that being in nature is bad for you. It might be bad for you only in case you are going in nature in the middle of a storm to maybe be lightened. And here too, I don't know, maybe you will catch an enlightenment. Same counts for bugs and ticks and other stuff which I don't really like. So let's bring back nature and color and air in museums and in our lives. If you really want to do something, you can always find a way to do it. And you see, this video was much easier than the previous one. I know nobody cares and nobody has noticed it, but I've been trying to balance out things. Going from technical and prompting and mechanical stuff to just kind of natural strolls and relax. Next video will be the last one from this series. Unless someone is like, no, please tell us more. And I will be like, yeah, well, sure, I will think about it. But honestly, no thinking about it because I'm overwhelmed by ideas which I would love to share, especially if someone would like to hear them. And if you're here listening to another hilarious not ending, you already know you deserved a thank you. Thank you, amazing human being, for being an amazing human being, and take care.